Jesse and Frank James are America's most infamous outlaws. For more than a decade, the James brothers and their cohorts robbed their way across America's middle section, successfully evading numerous local posses and the Pinkerton Detective Agency. Trail of Terror and Beyond is an in-depth examination of the James brothers' murderous careers as bank and train robbers. With an encyclopedic eye for detail, Trail of Terror and Beyond features interviews with local historians and folklorists who live in the areas where the James gang struck. These interviews add nuance and rich layers of texture that cannot be found in other documentaries. If you're a history buff or just want to learn more about the James brothers, Trail of Terror and Beyond is a must-have.
Hi, I'm Jack Koblis again. I'm an author, getting pretty close to 80 books now. That might mean I'm getting pretty close to 80 years old. I certainly do feel that way. In addition to the books as an author, I'm also, I do some screenwriting for documentaries. And I am also a former Hall of Fame musician. And I pretty much make my living doing research, lecturing, and of course the writing of books. And I take a heartfelt interest in the James Younger gang and people like them. Of these books I've written on the James Younger gang, out of 70-some books, about a dozen are on the James Younger gang. I have 3 more books on the James Younger gang coming out this year. My director was just talking to me, and he was comparing the writing of nonfiction to someone who is, say, a detective. You are, in fact, a literary detective when you're doing your work. Otherwise, there's a bit of Sherlock Holmes in you. I don't have a meerschaum or any of that. But everything we're doing in this series of DVDs, now let me stop there. I don't want you to get the impression that, okay, here this group came along and they're doing a documentary on a certain subject. This is documentaries in the plurality. There are several covering so many different subjects, all these different DVDs, and some of them overlap a little, and this is certainly good. We see the ties. We see what was going on at that particular time. But we are trying to make them as meaningful and historically accurate and as we possibly can. And so far I'm impressed with everything I've seen, and we're going to continue. So one other thing I wanted to mention was much of this material, especially let's say in photography, there are scores and scores, I might even say well over 100 photos, maybe more than 200 photos. These are not photos that have been taken at a carnival or something of that order and doctored up by an artist or a graphic designer. These are the photos that I have collected over the years. I bought most of them through family members, and they have been authenticated in most cases. And so you're looking at the real gang that we're discussing. Sometimes we make mistakes. We're not perfect. But I would say my collection, which I've now donated to the Northfield Historical Society, and all my photographs are there. I didn't even use several of these myself. I mean, there are so many. But when you look at a picture of the subject that you're reading about, it really helps to know that what you're looking at is what we experienced in our American history experience.
I went down to the station not many years ago, did something that I'll never do again. I got down on my knees and delivered up the keys to Frank and his brother Jesse James. Though Jesse was a man and a friend to the poor, he'd never see a man suffer pain. He was born one day in the county of Clay. He had a hand and a heart and a brain. And Jesse had a wife who mourned for his life. The children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward that shot Mr. Howard has laid poor Jesse in his grave. People in the West, when they heard of Jesse's death, they wondered just how and why. Robert Ford's pistol ball brought him tumbling from the wall, and it laid poor Jesse down to die. Now Jesse goes to rest with his hands upon his breast beneath the Missouri sky. It was said there was no man with a law in his hand who could take Jesse James when alive. And Jesse had a wife who mourned for his life. The children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward that shot Mr. Howard had laid poor Jesse in his grave. With the Youngers and with Frank, he rode to the Northfield Bank with plans to rob the money from the town. But 2 outlaws were shot dead as 7 men had fled after Frank had gunned poor banker Haywood down. And Jesse, he would hide with his brother by his side, their wounded comrades needing rest. After losing precious time, they left their gang behind. Jesse and the others headed west. Well, the Youngers, they were caught, and a posse led by Vaught made sure that the renegades would pay. But Jesse, Frank, and Styles had ridden many miles, and the fleeing desperados got away.